Hey, here to talk about something I've never heard anybody talk about, although I do make a lot of noise about it if you're participating in my 4-month upper register course or even just other lessons. It's the topic of embouchure, encompassing everything here, or embouchure surrounding the lips, and the lips and the lip tissue itself being different and having a different kind of a strength. So most, actually maybe 100% of people think the embouchure is everything and the lips. And I used to think that too, until several events happened that caused me to think differently. There, in my opinion, is a big difference in the muscle fiber and the tissue in the red part of your lips here than the thicker muscles that surround your lips and your corners. And I want to talk to you about the difference and why you might want to explore increasing the strength of your lips in addition to your embouchure. Now, they're not totally separate. In other words, if you're going to be working on the strength of your lips, your corners and your embouchure will come into play. If you're going to be working on lip flexibility, lip slurs, and glissandos, things like that, your lip strength will get affected, and it comes into play. So they are interrelated, of course. But, for example, if you've ever had the feeling of playing for a long time, and you feel like your chops are kind of giving out on you, but you notice that you can still play, but it feels like your lips bottom out on the mouthpiece. They just kind of keep caving in. Part of that is, yes, the corners are getting fatigued here. They are getting fatigued. But the real reason that's happening is the muscle fiber here can no longer plump up and create that cushion that you need on the horn. Remember, if that cushion goes away, your range runs out, and so does your playing. In fact, that's the whole reason that we all have a maximum range, regardless of how high it is. Your high range actually quits when you're using the maximum amount of pressure, and you go that one step further and no more sound or note will come out. That's because you've stopped the vibration of your lips. And as a result, you have no more cushion left. You're like really jamming the mouthpiece on hard. Obviously, we want to have the strength in our lips, keep our lips puckered and plump when we're playing, not have them be all the way stretched out to where the pressure is cutting off all the vibration. So, how can you really tell the difference in lip strength? Well, I'm going to be posting another video I did quite a while ago. It's actually the second hardest technique of the 75 techniques in my course. Is the triple octave scale. The triple octave scale is actually done in one breath and has gone up and down in 3 octaves with no tonguing. What makes that so hard is you have to roll in your lips and your embouchure in real time, and you don't get the ability to cheat and re-attack and restart the tone with your tongue or with your breath. We all know if we go high and we take a breath or we tongue, that gives us a little bit of advantage to keep either going higher to make that higher note easier, right? But if you start low and only tongue one note and go all the way up, come all the way back down smooth and fluid, you have to have a lip strength to roll in your embouchure in real time. Rolling in your embouchure because you're actually contracting the space or the aperture to be able to speed up the air. That's one way that we get compression. So you have to be able to do that in real time. Yeah, your chops in your corners here may help out a little bit, but it's your lips doing the heavy lifting. And if you don't have that lip strength, you're not going to be able to get the most out of your playing and the smoothness and the ease of getting around the horn. So I'm going to be posting that video to further show the difference in lip strength and embouchure strength. Embouchure strength, as we all know, is when you're there's a lot of ways to demonstrate it, but basically when you're doing simple lip slurs. Okay, I felt, yeah, my lips are doing this, blah, 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 but I'm feeling most of the muscle contraction here. in the corners in the embouchure. And so as a result, if you're working on the old tried and true methods that you've heard from everywhere, on the forums, from past trumpet teachers, from current trumpet teachers, from your friends, from professionals that you may know or work with, the same stuff comes up all the time. Practice long tones, practice scales up an octave, try taking things up an octave, and lip slurs or lip flexibility exercises. Those are all great for building up your embouchure and your chops to a certain point. They won't really increase your range to your absolute potential. The reason why? Because it lacks that one awesome ingredient called momentum. And momentum combined with a plethora of techniques hitting you from all angles is what will really bring out the best in your playing and maximize your power and strength. So long tones, scales, practicing up an octave, and lip trills and lip slurs. You hear that all the time. In fact, go ask somebody right now, go to your local college or university and say you want to learn, you want to play higher, how can you do it? You're probably going to hear part of that or all of that and not much else. And that's only going to take you so far. It's not going to bring out your maximum and your best. So there are things that you can do to strengthen your lips. And there's a ton of things to do, but probably the most basic heavy lifting technique for pure lip strength is a simple free lip buzz. You got to be able to lip buzz. And now, here's the catch-22 about lip buzzing. If you, sorry about that. If you lip buzz too loudly or for too long of a time, you're going to really screw yourself up. So that's why a lot of people poo-poo lip buzzing, or they say, oh, don't lip buzz because it's not realistic to what we're doing on the trumpet. Lip buzzing is a tool, and it's one of the best tools to increase the lip strength. And you will find that if you do a little bit of lip buzzing and use that as to complement maybe your lip slurs, your lip trills, pedal tones, and other things that you're doing for the physical part of the horn, you're going to see better results and quicker results. That's just the way it is, because you're working on the one thing that most people don't work on, and that's actually this tissue here in the red part of your lip. Don't believe me? This is kind of gross, but go look at a cadaver. Go to your university medical school if they'll let you do it, or watch videos. You'll see that they can actually take the whole skin and your face comes off like a mask. It's actually really gross. But when you notice that the muscle fibers and the tissues here, pay careful attention. The tissue here is very feather-like, but this here is different. I would say almost kind of gristly-like. It's just a different kind of tissue. It's not the same tissue as the muscles that surround the lips. It just is what it is. It's science. It's anatomy. So back to lip buzzing. Now, but when you notice that the muscle fibers and the tissues here, pay careful attention. The tissue here is very feather-like, but this here is different. I would say almost kind of gristly-like. It's just a different kind of tissue. It's not the same tissue as the muscles that surround the lips. It just is what it is. It's science. It's anatomy. So back to lip buzzing. Now, there's a lot more stuff that you can do to increase the strength of your lips. Also, just a caveat that building lip strength is not really a do-it-yourselfer. People tend to find themselves in more trouble and playing worse if they don't have the help of someone who actually has been there and done it and over and over and knows what they're doing. The simple reason is because it's kind of a stealth technique, and so you can do it and feel great, and after a couple of days you just shot yourself in the foot. You feel like you can't play, you can't get a buzz out. Chances are you were probably lip buzzing in the car, or lip buzzing doing something, you weren't paying attention to the time, or you're buzzing way too loud. Some people have this logic. There is a logic to it. If I can buzz loud and buzz high, that's just going to make me that much better of a player, right? Wrong. If you buzz too loud and too long, you're just going to actually screw yourself up. You're going to numb all this in here and make it too stiff, and it's just not going to vibrate. As a result, your range is going to drop down lower. So, getting back into lip buzzing, you can do a couple different things. You can do scales and arpeggios, target different notes. I have a whole system that I use for lip buzzing in the upper register program, in the brass upper register program. And by the way, this is for all brass players. If you have to buzz your lips into a mouthpiece, regardless of what instrument that you play, this technique is viable for you. And the thing is, it's not just about going up, it's also about going down low. So, if I were to start on a concert B flat, buzz my lips, I would hope to be able to get down several octaves, nice and relaxed. That was actually a triple pedal C lip buzz. And when you get down there, I don't call it a true lip buzz, because if you notice what's happening is you have a lip buzz combo lip flap or lip flutter. But still, if you can make that triple pedal C or triple pedal B flat come out like that, that would be an octave higher on the double. You have to have some degree of flexibility to be able to do that. Another one would be to do what singers do. You know, when you hear singers go, ah, and they go down low, you can kind of do that on your lips. You hear that? Just kind of wean all the way down to pedal C, double pedal C, and then all the way down to triple pedal C. You have to have some degree of lip flexibility and lip sensitivity in this part, not just talking about here. We're not really working anything here. This is now all about the lips. This could be nice and pliable and flexible, strong. If your lips are screwed and they're too tight, they're too brittle, you're not going to be able to do what I just did. So you might want to try that. And by the way, that's a culmination of a lot of years of working on lip buzzing. And so you might, if you find yourself not being able to do that, you can get with somebody, or you can get with me. I tend to do a lot of lip buzzing techniques that will allow you to really maximize your potential. So you got to be able to go down, you got to be able to go up. I'm not playing this loudly or buzzing loudly. Just an easy lip buzz. Let me see if I can get a little bit higher. Okay, got a little chunk of the double C there. So think about it. If you're causing your lips to vibrate that fast, there is some lip tension. It has to be there, right? Let me show you what happens when there's no lip tension, because I've noticed there's a lot of professionals out there also teaching. They're trying to say use no lip tension. Here's no lip tension, okay? Get it? So when you hear people saying no, don't use any lip tension, that's no lip tension. You have to have some degree of lip tension. What they probably really mean is don't use too much tension, and that's kind of ambiguous, right? So just so you know, when you hear people say, well, you shouldn't have any lip tension at all when you're playing, it should be totally relaxed, totally effortless. No, because if you have no lip tension, it's this. There's no lip tension there. You're not going to get anything except for maybe some double pedal tones to come out. A little bit of tension. A little bit more. Just a little bit. And then let's see if I can get the next one to come out. There we go. That was quite a lot of attention, or a lot of tension to get that note to compress out. That was a double C on my lips. So, I hope this little talk about lip strength and corners, and we know the corners again. I mean, most people know about the embouchure and the corners because, you know, that's all you've ever heard about. That's pretty much all corner strength for me. My lips are doing a little fish movement, wah, 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 when I'm doing it, but I'm not really engaging a lot of musculature and a lot of tension, a lot of contraction of my lips. It's really, they're kind of moving in and out like a little fish movement when I'm doing the lip trill, but it's this here is doing the heavy lifting. And you already know about that, right? Lip trills, lip slurs, glissandos. So the whole purpose of this informative little tutorial is to hopefully open up your eyes to the possibility that there is a different kind of strength happening here in your lips. It's a different kind of strength, and it requires a different approach. You have to tackle it a different way, and you have to think outside the box and do different techniques. So when you build this and the strength of this along with this, wow. I mean, wow. Wait till you experience the results and that newfound strength where you can just really grip the mouthpiece and everything feels awesome. You got the cushion there, you got the lip pucker, and it just won't go away. You got lots of strength. In fact, one thing that I've noticed, in fact, when you hear me, I have to be honest with you, I haven't even played my horn today. I haven't. So the one thing about developing your lip strength is you have the feeling that when you pick up the horn, you're already kind of half warmed up. So I haven't warmed up today, but I know that I can still get on the horn. Now, really, I haven't warmed up. Just what you saw me do here. I'm at the college here. Just thought I would make this video. That's with no warm-up. And I attribute that to a good portion of the lip strength here. Because if I didn't have the lip strength in the thickened fibers in the cushion, it would have been like when I was a lot younger in high school. I could have never done that because after the high C I would have been smashing my lips right into my teeth. It would have cut off the tone, regardless of how strong this was. So, I'm Kurt Thompson. I hope I open your eyes up to some new possibilities, thinking outside the box. And also, this is scientific. Do your homework. Check into the anatomy and musculature of the face, all this. Check into it, and you'll see that, yes, this is different. The muscle tissue and fiber is different in this little part here compared to around here. Go check it out for yourself. It's actually science. And the more you think about it, the more logical it does come across to maybe try to work your lips in a different way than you just work the whole embouchure. So I'm going to post up that video too, the one that demonstrates the real-time roll-in and roll-out of your embouchure, and that really highlights and depicts the lip strength more so than the embouchure. Yeah, you have to have, you know, strong corners to be able to do the triple octave scale, and there's no getting around that. You can't do the triple octave scale if you don't have the lip strength. So I'll put that up, and I'll probably talk a little bit more about that. But when you see that, try to do it in the range that you have for 3 octaves. Do it exactly like I demonstrate, and you'll find that if your lip strength is lacking, although you might be able to hit the high notes, you won't be able to do the triple octave scale because you won't have the lip strength to do it. If you'd like to find out more about how to improve the physical part of your playing, improve your lip strength. If you'd like to learn 75 techniques, that's just totally going to wow you and give you that aha experience. It's not a magic overnight thing or miracle pill. It does take a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears, and some elbow grease, and some of your time, and some of your money. But if you're willing to think differently and try something new, like so many other people, the momentum aspect of these techniques that I work and live with daily is just almost hard to put into words. It really is. It's amazing. So, you know my site, trumpetsizzle.com. You know my name, Kurt Thompson. And by the way, it's just lovely to be out here in gorgeous Arizona. And I'll just do a little pan around here. Isn't it wonderful? It's about the first week of August. And I did see a little moon. There's a little moon popping out. I just had to stop by today because it wasn't that hot. I think it was only about 100 degrees when I got here. It's lovely out. And you know what? I think I should probably come out here, and I might come back out here and play a couple things just for shits and giggles, and put them online, because the acoustics out here is great. You kind of get inspired by the scenery. It's lovely out here, and it was lovely talking to you guys too, being out here in such a nice area, and I hope I made sense. Hit me up at trumpetsizzle.com, or I'm on Facebook too, or YouTube. I'll see you there. Bye-bye. If only I had had Pat Hessian's Octavizer, I could have played the triple F. If anybody out there knows Pat Hessian, have him ring me up. I could have got that pesky triple F if I had that Octavizer that he uses. Anyway, you got a close-up of the embouchure going from first to line E up to triple E and back. Happy New Year. Okay, many of you have asked about the Bud Brisbois mouthpiece method, so I'm going to describe how I started off. I started off with French horn mouthpieces. Now I'm just barely up to a tuba mouthpiece. When I started, I did about 30 seconds to a minute a day, a couple times a week. Now I do between 5 and 10 minutes a day, 1 minute at a time, and taking a break, then another minute, then taking a break. I do that maybe once or twice a week. So 10 minutes twice a week with only a minute at one time. You start off with a French horn mouthpiece. You need a small towel so you can wipe your mouth out so you can grip it. The teeth are shut, and you actually clamp the lips down on the mouthpiece and let it hang. Wipe your mouth out. French horn mouthpiece. And you let it hang over just like that. And you might want to have a clock handy so you can time yourself, like for 30 seconds or a minute. Once you can get up to about 10 minutes once a week, doing a minute at a time with the French horn mouthpiece, then you would want to move up to the trumpet mouthpiece. Same thing. Wipe the inside of your lips and bend over like this, teeth shut. Grip that and do eventually 10 sets for a minute each. After that, you will get up to the trombone mouthpiece. This is kind of where I'm at right now for the most part. Trombone mouthpiece is kind of heavy. Again, you want to build up to 10 minutes, 1 minute at a time. You wipe your mouth out. Teeth shut. And the hardest one that I just started, which I can't really do now, and this is a big mama, is the tuba mouthpiece, and I can only do it for a second or two, but I'm still working on it. Eventually I'll get it. This thing is very heavy. You wipe your mouth out good. I can only do it for a second or two on the tuba mouthpiece. So there you have it. Start off easy, start off with a light French horn mouthpiece, then trumpet, then trombone, and then if you want to get crazy, throw in a tuba mouthpiece eventually. And as you see, tuba mouthpiece is very difficult. It's best to start off light, a minute a week or 2 minutes a week at the most, and then build up. You can really screw your embouchure up if you try to do too much at one time in the beginning. Start off light, start off with less time, and gradually increase it. Never do more than 5 or 10 minutes a week. I would never do more than that. Never do it within a week of a performance. For example, if you have a Friday night performance, I wouldn't be doing any of these kind of exercises within 5 to 7 days before performance. You could really screw up your performance. This is a very potent exercise. It will make your embouchure tired. Take plenty of breaks and good luck. Keep on screaming. High range, upper register, and screaming on the trumpet. A few people can do it, most cannot. But most do have the ability to play high. They're just practicing the wrong things, or they're practicing too much of the right things. Listen to that again. They're practicing the wrong things, or they're practicing too much of the right things. There's a secret when it comes to mastering the trumpet and technique in the high register. Not only do you have to be able to play high, which is obvious, but you have to control it, be in tune, and be accurate. There are many different things you can do to increase your range, but it's about putting them together almost like a recipe and doing it just enough and not too much. That's some of the secrets for playing high. I'd be glad to talk to you in person about that. You can call me, you can send me an email, and we can go further. High range, upper register, try high lip trills and lip flexibility exercises. Try multiple tonguing techniques up in the upper register on scales. Double tongue, triple tongue, K-tongue, single tongue. So those are just some of the things that will help you to be able to play higher and play better and play more accurately. Hope to see you soon. Hi, I'm Kurt Thompson, TrumpetSizzle.com. I wanted to give you a little bit of a direction when it comes to using the PETE, the P-E-T-E, Personal Embouchure Training Exerciser. And in this particular video, this is a free video, the advice that I have to give you is that the directions that you get with the PETE, regardless if it's a little plastic one like this, or you upgraded and you got the nickel silver, or you went way over and you splurged and you got the gold one. The directions give you two things to do, and I'm going to advise you not to do either of them, except for maybe a little bit of the second one. First, they give you a little variation on the old pencil trick. You know, you shut your teeth, you put this in between your lips, and you hold it. So this is too short, it doesn't have enough weight, and although you're going to be getting a little isometric contraction, and likely you're going to end up doing this isometric contraction too long, and what's going to happen is your lips are going to get stiff in here. It's good for the chops, yeah, good for that, but the lip tissue, which is a little different, if you ever look at the human body, especially like a cadaver, this tissue here in your lips is different than the feather-like muscles that surround. So this will be made stiff. You'll lose your flexibility, your tone will become airy, and you'll lose your accuracy by doing this. So ignore that when you get the PETE. Now, I have another thing that, at least in my program, that we substitute for that. But especially doing any kind of isometrical contraction for minutes at a time, or until you fatigue out, is really, really bad for you. So anyway, that's that. Now the other thing they told you is
I guess shut your teeth and put it in between your lips with the big end, like the nail part of it. Shut your teeth and then put your lips over the big flat head and pull. Now that's not too bad. I actually kind of like that. So I would say go ahead and do that. Now the purpose of this video is to really give you a heads up on how you can really get the absolute best out of using the Pete. And I've spent quite a number of months, actually it's going into years now, and I've also had other students input on some really marvelous techniques that even I didn't think about. I mean, these are pretty interesting. So I want you to take a look at the description below, and there's going to be some links. One link is really cool. It's a link to my Facebook page for a brass improvement email series, and it's all free. So there's lots of free information there that will really help you. And I'm also going to include a link for the video tutorial that you can actually purchase for a nominal amount. And the tutorial will give you all the techniques, and I'll be demonstrating those techniques. You're going to be pretty amazed at some of the things that you can actually do with the Pete, and I'll prescribe exactly how you're supposed to do the Pete at that point. So thanks for checking out this video here, and you didn't have to pay anything for it. There is some good advice if you just follow it, but the real meat and potatoes of the Pete and all the cool techniques that you can do with it that don't come in the directions that you got will be in my video tutorial. Just look down at the description and look for little hyperlinks, and you'll be able to figure it out. And my best for you with the Pete, one word before we do anything. When in doubt, less is more when it comes to Pete or any kind of isometric exercise that you can do. So if you're going to have to make an error or make a mistake, do it on the side of the minimum side, where less is actually more. So Kurt Thompson, TrumpetSizzle.com, TrumpetSizzle.com. See you there.
Okay, today we're going to be talking about the Roy Stevens-William Costello palming method. And we're not going to do the whole method. In fact, I don't even do it exactly like they do it. I've kind of tweaked it my own way. This is going to be the harmonic arpeggios, where you palm and you start on low C and work your way up. The Roy Stevens-William Costello is a method, but it also is an embouchure change, and we're going to be doing nothing about embouchure changes today. So if you've already downloaded some of their stuff, we're not changing embouchures. We're only using some of their techniques as a way to increase the flexibility in your chops and also your range. So today is going to be the harmonic arpeggios, and this particular tutorial will be instructing you how to do it. Now, for other instruments, I actually have had French horn players successfully do this, although it's a little bit weird, but they have to kind of hold it up with both hands. Trombone players so far have been able to do it, and I haven't had yet any euphonium players or tuba players. I don't even know if that would be possible. So I think right now it's safe to say that this works for trumpet, trombone, and French horn players, the way you're able to do it. So the main thing is you got your instrument, whether it be a French horn, trumpet, or trombone, and you're going to try to lay it in your palm and then put the horn up a little bit at an angle like this. So you got the mouthpiece on your chops just the way you normally would. Now notice my hand is kind of like a table or a plate. I'm not gripping anything like this. Your hand is actually stiff. It's like a shelf or a plate, and you lay the instrument on top, if you can. Now with a French horn you might have to use two hands to do it, maybe even bone, I'm not sure. But basically the bottom line is you don't want to curl your fingers or do any kind of gripping. So you're only allowing just the natural weight of the horn to be the only pressure that you're going to be able to have when you're playing. So that's number one. Now, I want you to maintain your same embouchure setting. So I don't want you to have your lower jaw move forward. I don't want you to slide your mouthpiece down. I want you to keep the same embouchure setting that you've been using. But we're going to use this particular method as a tool only. So it's great for no pressure. This happens to be one of the ones that I'm actually not the best at. I actually did change my embouchure temporarily to the Stevens and followed the whole method and did it. Wasn't really my cup of tea. I didn't really get the best results out of it. However, I do get pretty decent results out of just using this particular method. This particular technique rather. So let me just quickly explain how we're going to do this. We're going to start on the lowest harmonic open position note that you can get. So for trumpet players, that'll be low C. In open position, you can't go any lower unless you go into pedal tone range. For a trombone, that would be your first slide position note, and that would likely be, without going to your pedal tone range, I'm guessing that it's going to be that second line B flat in the bass clef staff. Because to go below that in first position, I think you have to hit pedal. So that would be your note. French horn players, I know that with the acoustics of the French horn might allow you to start a little bit lower, and but on the F side of the horn, let's just do it on the F side of the horn only and have you start on low C. So French horn players, treble clef, start on low C on the F side of the horn, so you won't be engaging the trigger. You can't because of the nature of this particular technique. So we go up the first three notes, and then the technique is you always start on the original note and keep the same setting. If you do get up high above the staff and then start, stop, or reset, well, it will enable you to get higher, but now you've just kind of defeated part of the purpose of the technique, which is starting at a wide aperture and rolling in. So yes, you can, for example, if you got the high C above the staff and then regrouped and restarted on the high C and went a little higher, you are going to be able to get higher, but we're not going to do that today. So I typically get up to, on trumpet, I typically get up to E's, sometimes double G's, the way I do it, because I'm not starting, stopping, and resetting. And you can watch some of the guys who are gurus with this particular method, and most often, once they get to high C, you'll see them re-attack the high C and then continue higher. What they've just done, of course, is they reset their chops and rolled it in. They create a smaller aperture, and that allows them to go higher. We're not going to do that. So the first three notes, starting on low C on trumpet, that would be concert B flat. I got it palmed. You notice there's nothing here that's gripping the horn. It's just a shelf. So we're playing about a medium forte to a forte level, not blasting, just filling up the horn. You notice that the only note that I tongued was the first note, and the other notes were slurred. So that would be your first series. Now you come back and start on the low C again, or the concert B flat, or for trombone, French horn, we've already mentioned what that start note for you would be. It would be the B flat for trombone, bass clef, that would be the low C for French horn. And now you keep adding notes. So here we go. I'm adding in another note now. I'll regroup, start again, and add yet another note. And regroup and add another note. Same thing, always going back down to the origin. Again, I'll probably go up one or two more here. And again. Statics and squeaks from the Roy Stevens, William Costello palming method. I'm Kurt Thompson, and this is a video tutorial on how to get started on the static and squeak part of their program. I've gone through their entire program, and I changed my embouchure even temporarily. And I could say that it wasn't really my cup of tea, and I didn't get a whole lot out of it, except for a couple of great techniques that will actually build your range and your flexibility. So they're definitely worthy of including in your routine, and that's what we're doing today. I will say that I don't encourage or even advocate you switching to the embouchure. I'm not even going to tell you about it today. We're only doing these techniques as I've tweaked them. So I've cherry picked these out of the Roy Stevens, William Costello palming method, and I've tweaked them a little bit my own way. So whatever you see here will probably be a little bit different than a Roy Stevens disciple would actually teach you. But I like how I do it, and I've liked the results that I've seen from students in my 4-month upper register course over the last 4.5 years. So this actually works the way I do it, so I encourage you just to follow this and not get distracted with other ways. So keep your normal embouchure setting. Keep that normal embouchure setting you're using. We're not going to be changing embouchure setting right now. We're using this as a tool to increase your range and your flexibility. These are the static and squeaks, the static and squeak technique that Roy Stevens and William Costello talked about. The name comes from squeaks, like you'd hear like any squeak, a door squeaking, a machinery squeaking. Static from like your air conditioner, central air or heating unit kind of makes that whirring kind of staticky sound. That's where it comes from. Here we're not going for a full-bodied sound as in the harmonic arpeggio. So if you haven't got that, the harmonic arpeggio tutorial, you definitely want to get that. It's like the kissing cousin of this one. There, in that particular one, we're going for a full sound. Everything sounds normal and you're going up harmonically in open position. Here we're not going to do that. Here we're actually going for altitude over a normal sound. So we're going to really back off on the air that we blow through. We're still trying to compress and make the air go through the horn faster, but we are definitely backing off on the air. We're starting much, much softer. In fact, the tone usually doesn't sound that great on this one. It sounds a little bit shrill, it's much softer. We are trying to go for altitude, trying to go high. So that said, we don't start low like we do in the harmonic arpeggios. We're going to start high, relatively high. So for most trumpet players, I think that you could probably start on G right above the staff on this one. French horn players, I would encourage you to at least start at possibly E, the 4th space E in the treble clef. And trombone players, let's have you start somewhere around, let's see here. It wouldn't be a bad idea to start somewhere around the B flat or D, right above the bass clef staff. You could start on the F, that would be great, but you choose B flat or D. D would be actually better, right above the bass clef staff, so that's where you guys need to be starting. And then if you have more of an advanced development of your embouchure, you definitely want to start higher. So I'll pick a couple of starting points and show you how it works. So just starting on G, this is concert F G on the trumpet. Of course, if you haven't had the other tutorials, what we're going to be doing is laying the instrument in the palm of your hand, but the hand doesn't allow any kind of curvature, so you can't really curve and pull the tubing in. So for trumpets, it's the easiest. You just lay the horn over and bring it up to your chops. The only pressure that you are able to get would be the weight of the horn. Trombone players, it's very similar. If it's too heavy, you could also use 2 hands, trombone players, like that if necessary. French horn players, you definitely have to use 2 hands. You're just not going to be able to balance it that well. So I've had trombone players, trumpet players, and French horn players go through the 4-month brass upper register course and successfully been able to do this one. I don't yet have any data on euphonium or tuba players, and I'm just going to go out on a limb that definitely tuba players, I don't know if that's even a go. I don't think it would be possible. I don't know. We'll see. And euphonium players, I don't have any experience with that yet either. Maybe at some point. But so for right now, it's just I'm talking to you if you're a trombone player, French horn player, or trumpet player. So starting on G, just a G right over the staff, and we're not going for a big full sound. Okay, I would call that 1 round, and I want you to do about 5 rounds of these, so you can rest in between each one. So basically 1 round is doing this in however long you go in one breath.
Now that's if you're involved in my 4-month brass upper register course. If you're not, you could definitely stretch this out to a total of 10 of those. So that would be one round, and I would rest, flutter my lips, maybe wait 10 seconds and do it again. Maybe wait 20 seconds depending on how I feel. So now let's just pretend that you have a little higher range, and this time you're going to start on high C or high concert B flat. This would be if you're trumpet. For other instruments, you're going to have to transpose that. Okay, there we got to triple G at the very end. So we're going for altitude, folks. We're not going for sound. We're just going for altitude. Roy Stevens and William Costello believe that the harmonic arpeggios worked a certain set of muscles in your chops, and that the static and squeaks worked a different set of muscles responsible for playing the upper register. So I think that's why you see them paired up like that: harmonic arpeggios and the static and squeaks. You're kind of covering all bases as far as your embouchure development when you're doing that. And so the last one would be, you could start even a little bit higher if you wanted. Sometimes I just like shooting in the dark, but I just try to start high and go even a little bit higher. There we go. I don't know if you heard that, but it was just a little touch of a triple C at the end. Came out about quadruple piano. And so I kind of mix and match. Sometimes I'll start off, I usually don't start off on G. I will start off on either high C, the second one that you heard me do, or the last one that you heard me do. So I kind of alternate back and forth. I only do 5 of these, 5 rounds. And the reason is because I go through all 65 techniques in my course just about every day. It's a lot of techniques, it takes a lot of time, and I just don't have time to invest a whole lot on any one particular technique. So anyway, that is the Roy Roman, William Costello static and squeaks. And for a quick review, remember we're going for altitude over sound. So you want to be soft. These are not going to be normal notes you would be playing anywhere in any kind of ensemble. So they don't really sound that good. They're very soft. They're very squeaky. They're not really in tune. We're not going for that. We're going for altitude only. We're trying to go as high as we can, soft. And remember, you got your horn. You're not curving your fingers. You're laying the horn right in the palm of your hand. Palm of your hand. And you're only using the weight of the horn only comes at an angle. And that's all the pressure you get, folks, just the weight of the horn. So trombone and French horn players who might have a slight advantage, obviously, because the weight of your horn is more, will give you maybe just a little bit extra ability on this particular technique. All in all, when you factor this in, you got the static and squeaks, the harmonic arpeggios, the 2 isometric techniques, plus the pencil exercise. It really is a super combination to energize your range building and endurance enhancement routine. I would definitely encourage you. Just to repeat, this one here, if you happen to get the entire Roy Roman, William Costello video tutorial package that I have, which would have all of them, you could allocate between 10 and 20 minutes per day for all these techniques, if you really like them. If you're in my course, don't do that. I want you to keep it at where I told you originally. So if you're involved in my course watching this particular tutorial, I want you to keep all the Roy Roman and William Costello palming techniques between 6 minutes and up to 10 minutes a day, and no more than that. Simply because you have so many techniques that are going to be piled on top of you. You don't want to be doing this, overdoing this, or be overkill. So I'm trying to think of anything else I can tell you about this one. I would just encourage you to use all the Roy Stephen and William Costello tutorials I have, because they kind of all go together. They all kind of dovetail nicely. But if you need to start off one by one, then no problem. Go ahead and do this one. But do look at the other ones. They are important. They do work together to make your goals happen quicker.
So anyway, this has been my tutorial about the William Costello, Roy Stevens tutorial. It's Kurt Thompson's way of tweaking some of their material. And I know that if you invest time on this, it won't take that long to start seeing results. Give it a couple of weeks, and you will start to kind of have that feeling of surety and strength here when you go to play, especially in the upper register. So don't forget, it's trumpetsizzle.com. You can always go there and click on the products page. I have a ton of video tutorials right now stretched all across the board from all kinds of techniques, and I know that they'll help you as well. So trumpetsizzle.com. I'm Kurt Thompson. Catch you next time.
Hey, we're going to talk about pedal tones today, and pedal tones that will actually open up your sound. So if you have a small sound, an airy sound, a weak sound in any register, and if you're watching my videos, it's likely that you're probably thinking that you have a small or a weak sound or a pinch sound in the upper register. There's a cure for that, or at least there's one cure. There's probably more than one cure, obviously, but you might want to pay particular attention to the fourth tier of pedal tones. So if you've taken my courses before, you know that I've kind of delineated the pedal tones into 5 different tiers. And the fourth tier of the pedal tones is the tier of pedal tones that tends to concentrate on opening up your sound. You'll notice that in order to play the fourth tier, you can't use the same embouchure setting exactly as you would if you were playing middle C or low C up to middle C and above. You'll notice that you have to drop your jaw down a little bit more, and your lower jaw kind of jets out a little bit, and the mouthpiece will slide up a little bit more on the top lip. So I'm speaking to trumpet players, some other brass players. You can kind of configure this for your own instrument. But for trumpet players, the fourth tier starts on double pedal C, and it goes down to double pedal B, double pedal B flat, double pedal A flat. Now here's where you got to pay attention. Double pedal G must be fingered like this. Don't cheat and play it open. And the last note in tier 4, the pedal tone would be the double pedal F sharp or G flat. Must be fingered 1, 2, and 3. Don't cheat and do that. You want to focus on playing these as loud as possible because you're developing the muscle tissue and the stabilizing muscles to keep your aperture open with a loud sound. Now, if you practice this every day, you'll start to notice that you're able to play with a slightly, almost microscopically, slightly open aperture in the other registers. And I say slightly because it's barely noticeable. But that slight increase in your aperture is going to get more air in there, a little bit slower moving air, but you're going to have the chops to contain it, and you're going to get a better sound. It's just science and mathematics, right, folks? So there's a lot of ways that you can get down into the fourth tier, and just for time's sake today, I'm just going to give you the simple version. You could do a scale down to it. You could do, I'll just give you an example. Scale would be, if I started on low C, that would be arriving at the double pedal C, the first note of the fourth tier. You can do the arpeggio. And today we're just going to do octaves. That's the simplest way. In fact, if you're not used to doing pedal tones at all, you might just want to do octaves. The reason is because it gives you the test pitch. You're going to be able to keep that in your head to be able to go down to hit the pedal tone. As you already know, pedal tones are not real notes on the horn. They don't really exist. They exist in the strength of your lips and the strength of your embouchure. After all, the lowest natural note that we can play is concert E or low F sharp, right? G flat. It's the lowest natural acoustically on the horn. So anything else below that is a manipulation.
by your lips and your embouchure, and even in your tongue arch or lack of tongue arch and your air. So, and then some other people would say that it's just one glorified lip bend. At any rate, it's the fourth tier that's going to open up your sound. So the reason I'm telling you that is because some people think practicing long tones in the low register forever and working your way down chromatically will open up your sound. I'm convinced that that won't open up your sound. It'll make your tone better, because tone comes from tone. So if you're doing long tones, your tone will improve. The quality of the sound will improve, but the big and the fullness and the power of your sound, I don't think will. You will improve your tone by doing that. So if you've been doing that for your tone, don't stop. If you need a bigger sound in all registers, this is what you need to be doing. So we're going to do octaves. Remember, I just gave you a couple different ways to get down there, but we're just going to do octaves. So we can start on low C. Big breath. Notice that the mouthpiece, my normal settings here, it kind of came up a little bit, and my lower jaw kind of came out just a little bit like a bulldog. So I'm not using my normal mouthpiece and embouchure setting. I mean, it's close, but you do have to vary it. So for people that have tried to get down into the fourth tier and maintain their low C embouchure, you might be doing that, right? And find that you can't do it. The reason is you can't maintain your lower, your normal plain embouchure, even a low register embouchure for tier 4 notes. You have to adjust your embouchure. So let's go down to B. Okay. Really buzzes out your lips pretty good, and I'm definitely using a wider aperture to get that. I like to rest a little bit in between these, sometimes up to 30 seconds, depending on how I'm feeling, maybe even a minute. But for today's trumpet lesson here, we're just going to go through a little bit quicker than normal. However, you should have made a note for yourself. You're going to go through those slower, because you're going to be adding in the rest. So try to put 30 seconds between each one of these as a break at a minimum. So we're on a B flat. And the next one I'm going to try to get really close so you can see what's happening. By the way, they don't get easier when you go lower. They get harder, especially the last two, G and G flat, are pretty tough if you play them with the right fingering. So here's A, low A. And rest a little bit. And go down to double pedal A flat. We're still in tier 4. These are tier 4 pedal tones. Go A flat. You're really trying to get this all relaxed. Very responsive. And I can feel it working right now. Okay. So I'm going to go on to the two hardest of these, which would be G. And sometimes this is like rolling the dice if they're going to come out just perfectly like the other ones. So here we go on G, double pedal G, tier 4, and you must finger it 1 and 3. Okay. That's tough. So I'm going to rest a little bit longer, because just by doing this, I can already tell it's kind of taxing on my chops. I've played quite a bit today, so I can already feel it. You wouldn't think that it would really do that, right?
It does. So you're going to have to try this to believe it, be a believer of it. But okay, I'm going to rest a little bit longer. I can really feel it here in my chops. Tingling, the vibration is making a tingling feeling here in my lips. Kind of tingles, more so than fatigue, but the embouchure that's surrounding my lips here is, I can really feel it being used and kind of fatiguing out. Let's try the lowest one. This is the hardest one in my opinion. Low G flat, F sharp, or this is actually double pedal G flat, double pedal F sharp, the last note of tier 4. That actually came out just textbook perfect. So, like I said, sometimes it's like Russian roulette. You never know what you're going to get on those low ones. But anyway, I'm glad that it was able to come out pretty good for this demonstration here. So after you do that, you could rest and then come back and play the normal parts of the horn. I just feel like the tone is really big, really brassy, really powerful. I can just feel it, the difference right there. Now, you may not be able to feel an instantaneous change and difference when you go to play in the normal register, but it will happen for you. So if you've been doing long tones to increase your power and open up your sound, not so much. It will actually make your tone better. So if you're doing that to make your tone better, great. If you already feel that you have a pretty decent tone and you want to focus on opening up that sound so you can really put a lot of power there without things shutting down, without getting a pinch sound, or without getting a very weak, anemic sound. And a lot of times for brass players that happens when we go where? Yeah. So this will definitely do the trick for you. It's just one in the bag of techniques I got. So let's recap. We're talking about tier 4 pedal tones, and this is for trumpet. If you play another instrument, you can figure it out for yourself. Tier 4 pedal tones, those are doubles, and you must use the correct fingerings on those last two. So try this for about a week, and notice if you begin to have this more opened, bigger, brassier sound in all the registers, not just the upper register. So I'm Kurt Thompson, and click down in the description below and I'll put a hyperlink for my website in case you're interested in more information on some of the other tutorials that I have in my big courses. I've got the 16-week course and the lead trumpet course and a bunch of other stuff. So hope you have a good day. Bye-bye. Hey, I'm Kurt Thompson, here to talk to you about the 3 known ways that most trumpet teachers and brass teachers would tell you how to increase your range. And in some videos you may have heard me kind of disrespect these a little bit, and that would only be because you've tried these 3 ways, yet you keep trying these 3 ways to really bring out the most amount of range. The 3 ways I'm going to talk about are the main themes and concepts behind your beginning range building and endurance increases and improvements. And this is what you're going to probably hear when you go to most instructors for private lessons, and maybe even on the internet forums. So this will get you actually a little bit of a ways. If you don't have any range at all or any endurance, you at least be making sure you're doing these. And that's why I'm giving these away for free, because it's something that you at least have to start at this point. It will only take you so far. So once you use these techniques and only get to a certain level, and you can't really seem to get beyond that, that's when you have to come to me in my course, the 16-week upper register course, and add another 3 or 4 notes to your range. But this will get you a little bit of a jump start, and might as well do it if you haven't been doing it. A lot of you watching this video will have already undoubtedly heard about these and have already been doing it, and then you're watching this to see if you can increase your range past that, but this won't help you. So you do these 3 until you reach a certain level where you plateau off, and you're not going to be able to break that barrier. You're going to have to do something different. And in this particular case, doing something different, I'll put my website address, would be taking a momentum-based course to really supercharge your range and endurance. But anyway, let's get to these
these three known mainstream techniques. Number one, long tones. You go to any trumpet teacher around the world, any college, university, you ask about playing and increasing your range, they're going to tell you long tones. It could be in the form of pedal tones. F, pedal F. Or the harder range would be tier 2, would be your pedal Cs. C. So any kind of long tone, even in the regular lower middle register. Or and on and on and on. You can go down chromatically there, you can go up. So long tones, there's just too many to even list here, but I just gave you some examples. Long tones will help out your range and endurance. Also, a good tone comes from practicing tone studies and flow studies. Remember, tone, a gorgeous, big, beautiful, brassy tone that you can almost just reach out and grab. You just kind of get that feeling that when you hear someone play with a great tone. That comes from tone. So you want better tone, it comes from tone, long tones. Alright, let's move on to the second one. So the first one was long tones. And you can include pedal tones, and there's just a whole myriad of ways to do long tones. But you got to be making sure that you incorporate some kind of long tone study in your practice. As far as how much to do it and what to do, that's where people like us come in handy, because we need to hear you play and get a feel for where you're at, and then we could better prescribe the right long tone study for you. Second thing would be lip flexibility studies. And the lip flexibilities are broken down into three parts: glissandos, lip trills, and regular lip slurs. So you need to have that incorporated into your practice as well if you're trying to increase your range and endurance. Obviously, lip trills would be a very fast oscillation between two notes. G, start on G with a staff. Or it could be lower if your range is then high. Let's do a C. C to E. And that's an example of lip trill. Of course, there's a lot of different books out there that have all kinds of interesting exercises to do your lip trills on. My favorite right now, my favorite right now is Dr. Charles Colin Advanced Lip Flexibilities for Trumpet. It's a big red book with white lettering. I swear by that book. I love that one. So there you have it. So lip trills. The second part of lip flexibilities would be your glissando. In fact, I remember reading Roger Ingram's book, and if my memory serves me correctly, he really swore by practicing one octave glissandos. I think that's his claim to range fame, if I remember what he said in his book. Now, don't quote me perfectly back, because I read it a long time ago, but he really swore by one octave glissandos. So, and you're probably going to want to do them where at least you reach out of the staff, like A, or even high C. And then you can start at an octave. And then you could expand it to, well, if you wanted to go to like 3 octaves. Low A. So that's your glissandos. The third and final way, as far as lip flexibility is concerned, just basic lip slurs, easy for me to say. So you get it around the horn, and you're trying to be clean and precise with your lip slurs. Something as simple as this. Or even simpler. Get the idea. Lip slurs. Okay, so far we discussed long tones in their various formats. Lip flexibilities, which are broken down into 3 parts. There's only 3 ways that you can get around on this horn without using these
and without using that. And that would be the glissando that we just talked about, lip trills, and lip flexibilities or lip slurs. Actually, lip slurs would be part of the lip flexibilities. And now the third way that most trumpet teachers would tell you or advise you on how to be able to increase your range would be able to take something up an octave. The first thing that comes to mind, if you're more of a beginning or intermediate student, probably intermediate, or you simply just don't have that good of a range and you're hanging around G's above the staff, and you're still a good fourth away from even the beginning upper register, which starts at IC, I would at least have you work on scales and arpeggios up an octave. If you're used to practicing the C scale, and you kind of staying around that range, you want to start giving it a go an octave higher, even if you have to go slower. Or arpeggios. If you're used to being in that range, try to see if you can squeeze it out an octave higher. Those are some examples there. Of course, you don't have to just stay on the C major. We're talking about anything from a chromatic. Chromatics, arpeggios, scales, you name it. And then you can finally go to little tunes. They could be classical little things out of the Arbans, jazzy ones, anything that you've ever played, you could try to take it up an octave. Something simple like this. Take it up an octave. Okay, that was Sesame Street. So I'm just doing this off the cuff. You know, I didn't have any set list that I'm going off for this particular video tutorial. But anyway, this is gold. If you haven't already been doing this and you want to skyrocket your range and your endurance, this is a no-brainer, folks. You got to be doing at least the three things that trumpet teachers around the world would tell you to do, even if they really can't play that high in the upper register or they don't specialize. They're going to tell you these three things. What were they again? Long tones in all their various forms. Number two, lip flexibilities, and there's only three ways we can get around the horn lip flexibility wise. Lip trills, right? Glissandos, and lip slurs. And finally, the third thing is to start just getting the courage and being confident and take some stuff up an octave. It could be your band part in 8th grade band if you're an 8th grader. It could be some little licks that you've learned. It could be scales, chromatics. Just start with the idea like, hey, let me just see if I can take this up an octave. So, I'm Kurt Thompson. My site is www.trumpetsizzle.com. You can email me at kurt@trumpetsizzle.com. Now, you're going to use these techniques, and they're going to take you a little bit of the way up. But you're going to find at some point you get stuck. Everybody gets stuck, and that's why they come to me or other people that teach and kind of focus on the power side of the horn, the physical part, the volume, the tone, the sound, the range, the endurance. So anyway, I hope that you got a little something out of this. And if you already knew this, great, it was a review. And then go get my course. Come on. You want to get another 4 or 5 notes? I know you do, right? Bye-bye. Hi, welcome to this lead trumpet lesson series where we're going to be talking about the 3 lesser known skills that you really must have. And actually, interestingly enough, these are the 3 skills that tend to scare away a lot of people from playing lead trumpet. So, and I'm even talking about people that have range. And to some extent, we could also put in the mix lead trombone, although at least one of these techniques would not so much apply to trombone, but lead trombone, that is. But 2 out of the 3 would apply to lead trombone. So I might even put lead trombone in the description there. But they're the obvious things that you need to have, and we're not talking about those today because it's very obvious for you, right? If you're going to play lead trumpet, you have to have an incredible high range.
Okay, you can have all the style that you want in the world, all the phrasing that you want in the world, and all the technique that you want in the world, and the greatest sound. Wow. Guess what? It doesn't mean squat to play lead trumpet if you got all that, but no range. Sorry. So that's number one. We're not going to be talking about that because that's an obvious one. When people think of lead trumpet or lead trombone, they think, wow, stratosphere, upper register stuff, high range, high notes. So we're not going to talk about that. We're also not going to talk about power today because that is a very widely known skill that a lead player would have to have, either trombone or trumpet. They'd have to have tremendous power and strength. The other thing is lasting ability, endurance. So those are the three main things that people tend to know about or make assumptions about when it comes to the lead chair, lead trumpet chair, lead bone chair. But there's three other things that are lesser known and less talked about. And we're going to be talking about those in this lead trumpet series. This is the first installment. I'm making each of these kind of nice and short and sweet. So you can check out one and then try to apply it. If you're actually looking at doing lead trumpet or lead trombone, try to apply it to your own situation. And then if you look down in the description at the end, I'll have a link to my lead trumpet introductory stylings course. And that's a fantastic course. I should also put down a link for plain and simple jazz articulation. That's probably one of the most important things that you need to have regardless. If you don't know how to articulate the jazz style, you could be hot dogging on double C's and it's just going to sound god-awful. So I might put two links of something that you might be interested in. Learning how to actually articulate jazz so you sound jazzy and so you don't sound like a classical player or someone from a brass band. So you sound like you've been in a big band, a commercial band, or a jazz band. So I'll put a couple of those links down in the description, so look for those while you're watching this video. But the first thing that scares people off, in fact, I might have to even think of a different title. These are three things that really scare people off. The first thing that scares people off at playing lead trumpet, and to a lesser extent lead trombone, is the fact that it occurs to the player that they are playing a solo. So if you haven't actually taken a stab at playing lead trumpet or lead trombone, do take a stab at it if you already have the range. And what you will experience is a certain amount of fear and intimidation. Everybody hears you when you play lead trumpet. Everybody hears what you do good. Everybody hears what you do bad. And oh yeah, they certainly hear when you screw it up and hit the wrong notes, come in early, come in late, play out of tune. So that's the first thing that we're talking about today. Again, this little tutorial and lead trumpet lesson is going to be short and sweet, so it's not going to be too long-winded. But you need to start thinking about that if you're interested in playing the lead chair. You're going to stick out a lot more, and the lead trumpet player, it'll seem like you are the only one that's heard, especially once you start to get above high C. And if you have the power and the range already, which you should, you will feel, and others will notice that. It sounds like you're playing a solo above the band. It really does. So that scares and intimidates people. And they walk into the section with trepidation. So some things to kind of get over that would be, number one, you got to at least force yourself to play some lead. Maybe you can, if you have an existing lead trumpet player, if they're nice enough, and every trumpet player, you know what I'm talking about. Some lead trumpet players don't want to give up any of their charts, and they kind of hog it all. Others are a little bit more generous, and so if you have a lead trumpet player in the band that you play in, if he seems like the kind of person that's easygoing enough, you might ask him, could I try, sitting in on playing lead on a couple of the easier parts that maybe you want to save your chops on. And he or she may actually say, yeah, why don't you take lead on whatever, all of me, or whatever, or wood chopper's ball or something like that. So you got to start somewhere. So that would be number one. You actually have to do it, and you got to feel what the lead chair feels. And so many armchair quarterback lead players all day long that have never even played, never even sat in the lead chair. And they critique over and over and critique harshly the lead trumpet player that's playing on a particular tune. And they have no idea, no clue what it really entails to be in that particular spot. So that would be one idea for you to start thinking about. If you have aspirations to play lead trumpet or lead trombone, you will have to develop a super amount of confidence, tons and tons of confidence. You are going to be heard over everybody else in the band, guaranteed. Okay, another way to do that would be to start taking solo opportunities unrelated to lead trumpet. For example, you could volunteer in your church, couldn't you? Certainly you could. Play something during the offering. If you don't go to church, find a church that will allow you to play a little bit. You'll be surprised getting up in front of 300 or 400 in the congregation and playing Come to Jesus in whole notes. That will actually help you out. Get in front of the audience and being heard like that. Amazing Grace or anything else. Or just, playing along with the choir when they're singing some of the hymns. So that's one thing that you can do. Actually, that's two things now. You're in the band, you're going to ask the lead trumpet player if he'll throw you a few bones. And the second thing is church. You don't have to be a devout Christian or whatever. You're going to find a church. Tell them that you would like to offer some solos for their for the offering where they collect money for the church, or maybe it could even be at a special event or a youth group or a prayer night, whatever. So that would be number 2. Number 3 would be to go to the busiest part of your city. And I realize for some of you, you live out in rural areas, so that this might not be totally applicable. But you could still make it work. Even if you live in Dixon, Tennessee, you could still find a little congregation of storers, even if there's only 4 or 5. And what you're going to do is you're going to have memorized a couple of solos and licks, and you're going to go outside, whether it's 20 degrees below zero or whether it's 100 degrees. You're going to play for approximately 15 to 20 minutes under the scrutiny of passerbys and people wondering what the heck that you're doing. When I was preparing some of my Maynard Ferguson tributes, that's like a death march right there. I mean, it's so easy to screw up when you're playing, way above double G's. So what I did was, since I live near San Francisco, I went right to Union Square, and I would get on a corner, and there's actually a couple players that play that way anyway. They collect tips, saxophone players and a bass player. I think there was a trumpet player there one time. I got up there on one of these, it's not really a statue, but it's like a big square pillar. It's about 4 feet off the ground. I got up there, and I just started going through some of my Maynard solos, and then I put some other stuff in there too. I played Flintstones, and when I saw kids go by. And you're talking about a very, very populated and busy area. And you feel it. You're up there, and everybody's walking by and staring at you. Some people are happy, some people aren't. And anyway, and you might even get some tips, but that's not why we're doing it. You're doing it to expose yourself and to hear your sound, get used to hearing your sound sticking out there. You're going to have to be able to get used to that and have that kind of confidence, or you're just not going to be able to do the lead trumpet chair or the lead trombone chair. Okay? So let me see if I can think of one other idea that you could do. Oh, recording yourself like I'm recording now. I'm always surprised how hesitant people are to record themselves. Even, there's been several hundred people that have gone through my big 16-week upper register course, but if you look on my playlist, there's only 50, 60 players that have recorded a video. So you might be wondering what happened to the other 100, 150. A lot of people just can't stand the thought of recording and then listening and watching themselves. Can't stand it. So this would be maybe tip number 3 for you on this one. I'm recording this on my phone, and I'm sure you've got a smartphone, and if you're an older generation person and you don't, borrow your kid's phone or your grandkid's phone and have them help you do it. You need to play a couple different things and watch yourself do it. That'll get you more at ease at being more in the limelight, hearing yourself talk and watching yourself on video. So that's an excellent idea that I just came up with. Also, you'll find that the pressure's more on, especially if you're going to play. If you're being recorded, you're going to find that it's a little bit more difficult to be precise and execute flawlessly on your horn. And the reason is because, of course, the camera doesn't lie. It picks up everything. Even little blips, little spias, things out of tune, wrong phrasing, chips. I mean, it picks it all up. Sometimes we tend to overlook that when we're just by ourselves in a practice room. Anyway, so you got some really good ideas. This is part one. There's going to be 2 more installments, and the next 2 installments do get a little bit more hands-on as far as listening and playing, and I think I'm going to chime in there and do a little playing too. So 3 skills, 3 techniques that are not talked about that much, but scare the bejesus out of a lot of potential lead trumpet and lead trombone players to sitting in that chair. So I hope this helped you out. Really think about it, and in addition to thinking about what I just talked about, go out there and do it. I'm Kurt Thompson, and my site is trumpetsizzle.com, and look for some of those links down there. I'll see you in the next installment. Bye-bye.
Thanksgiving 2015. You know, over the years I've given you lots of little free tidbits on everything from lead trumpet playing to ultimate technique on the horn to improving your range and endurance, and some different tests along the way. And here are pretty interesting tests I'm going to give to you today, actually 2 of them. And for those of you who don't have spectacular upper register and endurance, this should be an eye-opening experience, because you don't have to play high to figure out whether you got chops or not, whether you got strength or not. But if you can't play high and you don't have great endurance, these will illuminate that matter right now without even having to play high. The first test is the Bill Adam lead pipe buzzing. Now, we all know, I'm assuming that most of us know, and a lot of this is directed to professionals and advanced players that have been around the block, that Bill Adam had a whole series and routines of playing the horn in many different ways, but especially without the lead pipe to improve your sound. So a lot of times when you play without the lead pipe, you can get a bigger sound, more resonant sound, a more focused sound, and I actually use that in my routine almost every day. Now, if you have a normal trumpet with a normal tuning slide, when you pull it out, you probably will naturally play an F. If you have a reversed tuning slide like mine, or they call it a reverse lead pipe, whatever you want to call it, I'm not a horn builder, but the note will naturally come out an E. So we take it out like that. Let's just see what it is. Let's put it back in and see if it was an E or an F or whatever it was. It should be an E. I'm going to play an E here just to see. Yeah, it's an E. So if you have a reverse tuning slide lead pipe, it's going to be an E. If you have a typical box strad, whatever, without that incorporated into your horn, it's probably going to come out an F. Now, when you try to go much above the F, regardless of what horn you have, it'll seem like the notes are not there at all. It's very, very difficult. And one way to ascertain whether or not you have massive, powerful, strong, flexible, resilient chops is to try to target some of those notes that typically would not be part of the lead pipe buzzing from Bill Adam. So, for example, what if I were to play an A? You guys can try this right now. You don't have to be able to play double Z. You can try it right now. I'm going to play an A on the horn. I'm going to take out the tuning slide. Here it comes. A. Could you do that at home? Could you? And mine was loud and relatively focused. Now, if you could do that, you likely have been working the Glissando for quite a bit. You got great chops, great flexibility. You're probably even above most advanced trumpet players. You might be a professor, you might be a lead trumpet player, maybe you're a principal in an orchestra somewhere around the world, I don't care. But if you couldn't do it, it's not because you don't have talent. Do you think it takes talent to do that? It does not take any talent in the world at all. It takes flexibility and powerful chops. For those of you who are not English speakers, that means a strong, powerful embouchure muscles around your lips. That's what it takes. That's test number one. So again, you don't have to be able to play double C's and scream like Maynard Ferguson to do this test. Now, if you can't do that, that means you need to be working on your chops, right? I mean, can you think about it? Especially for those people who say, oh, I don't want to be that high note guy. I don't want to play high notes and hangover and be that out. Well, if you can't do this, it's not about high notes, is it? It's about your lack of embouchure strength, so quit rationalizing it. You don't want to play high notes, fine, but if you don't have a strong embouchure, you ain't going to be playing much of anything. I can tell you that. And you're not going to be able to play that long. That's test number one. Test number two. And this can be made to be very, very difficult, but for right now, we're going to make it easy. This is kind of also a test of mouthpiece pressure. So if you're using an extreme amount of pressure, even on something as simple as a second line G, you won't be able to do this. Now, I expand this particular test and technique way out for people who get in my course, but for right now, we're going to keep it simple on a second line G in the staff. If you can't do this test, again, the light bulb should go off in your head that something is not right, something is not developed, something that you need to start doing. Quit rationalizing about why you don't like high notes. We all need the extra range. If you play in a community concert band that goes up to A, B, and high C with a staff, your range should be F and double G, so you can play that easily with a good tone, with lots of endurance, with lots of power. It's not about the high notes in itself. It's about what that extra cushion does for your playing. You have a double G, but when you go to your community concert band or brass band or wind ensemble, you only have to go up to high C. Hey, it's going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be fun. You're not going to use too much mouthpiece pressure. You're going to be able to play all day. You're going to love it. So get the idea about being Mr. High Note guy and that obnoxious guy that maybe you didn't like in high school. Get that out of your head. This is about making life better and more fun for you as a trumpet player, brass player. Okay, lick your lips. Lick the mouthpiece if necessary. Second line G. Watch what we're going to do. Could you do that? Could you do that? On these two techniques and tests, there's no rationalization about why you hate high notes. Either you got chops and flexibility and can do this, or you need to do some serious shedding. Do these techniques require any talent whatsoever? Zero, nada, zilch, none, no talent. It requires a flexible and powerful embouchure. Flexible, powerful embouchure to be able to do what I just did. No talent. So don't sucker yourself into thinking, well, I don't have the talent. He could do it. He's got talent. I don't. No, that's a cop-out. That's an excuse. That's a rationalization. So in this particular trumpet lesson for you, get rid of all those rationalizations and excuses. Well, he can play high notes, but I can't. I don't like high notes. I don't want to be that. out, quit it, stop it, and take these 2 tests. If you can't do what I just did here, put away the excuses and buckle down and start working. And most of you won't know exactly what to do or how to do it because you need to be coached. Why are there coaches in professional athletics? Those professional athletes know how to do what they're doing, right? But why are they there? Think about it. Why is some guy in the NFL star quarterback, but yet there's still a coach on the sideline coaching the whole team and even coaching that quarterback? Think about it. So you need someone to coach you on this, someone who knows how to do it, been where you are, and been where you and is where you want to be. Easy for me to say. So go back and rewind this. Try to do it. If you could do it, great. Chances are you don't have too many problems in life when it comes to playing the horn. If you cannot do these relatively easy, you know what to do, right? You got to seek out someone to help you gain what you need to know. I'm Kurt Thompson. You already know my site, trumpetsizzle.com. And for this Thanksgiving weekend, I plan on putting up some really attractive discounts for a lot of my courses. I suggest that you take advantage of them, or you can go back to your practicing your Arvids and your Clark and your jazz standards and your etudes and your concertos and your orchestral excerpts and still be the same old player this time next year. What are you going to do? Bye-bye. Hey, did you just get braces on? And now you're a freshman in the marching band, or maybe you're a junior in the marching band, and you play trumpet, French horn or trombone. You know, those, especially the trombone, that's a little bit easier if you got braces. French horn is even harder, but French horn, you're typically not trying to get up into the, the loud crashing waves of sound that the whole marching band trumpet section might have to do. So, is there a way to get yourself back to where you were, maybe even better, without crushing your lips into those barbed wires of your braces on your teeth? Yes, there is. For many, many years now, more than a decade, I've been using this one awesome technique. I guess it's a little known technique because I don't hear about other people doing it. Extensive practice in the tier 2 range of pedal tones, using your tongue arch like you would if you were playing above the staff. So I guess it's not common knowledge. If you want to get back to where you were, trumpet guy or trumpet gal, and you got braces, and you're trying to just get back to where you were, or maybe even get better, but it's feeling horrible right now and painful, and let's just say you can barely play an F on the staff, that's going to really, that's really going to suck. I mean, to go through the school year like that. So, you practice this, and I guarantee that you'll be able to get either close to where you were, or maybe even a little bit better than where you were. And the reason is practicing extensively in the tier 2 range of pedal tones is like practicing a high C to double G, almost. Except you're not going to crush your lips against the barbs in the braces in your mouth. So, first things first, you should already have an understanding of pedal tones, or at least if you don't understand what they are, you might want to search some of my other tutorials. Maybe I'll include a link of some pedal tones that we've done. If I find that I haven't actually included that on my YouTube channel, I'll probably include just a course, very brief overview of it. But pedal tones basically starts below F sharp. Our lowest note, our natural acoustical note on the trumpet, is F sharp. If you try to go below that without manipulating your embouchure, you can't. You can't go below that note unless you do something with your lips, your air, your tongue. And that's what we're doing with pedal tones. Pedal tone is a manipulation of those things I just mentioned. So tier 2 pedal tone notes. This is the heavy duty, heavyweight contender of the pedal tones. it is the most difficult. So this is not a walk in the park. The technique I'm telling you is actually somewhat advanced. You'd be better off to be working with somebody like me or another specialist in range and endurance taking you through this, but this is just to get you started, or just say you don't have the extra cha-ching right now to have one of us brass coaches work with you. At least you can be doing something on your own and making some kind of progress. So here it is. To still be able to increase your range on your trumpet, even though you got braces, you're going to be practicing the notes in the Tier 2 range. What are those notes? Pedal C. And the easy way to do it is just to do octave tester notes. You would play the normal low C on the horn, open, down an octave. That's pedal C. B, natural, to pedal B. B flat, low B flat down to pedal B flat. Low A down to pedal A. Low A flat down to pedal A flat. Low G down to pedal G, and you must play it 1 and 3 both ways, folks. Don't cheat. 1 and 3 for the low G and 1 and 3 for the pedal G only. And finally, the last pedal tone in the Tier 2 range of pedal tones is the G flat or F sharp. So here's the low F sharp G flat. Drop it an octave. Alright, so those are the notes in the Tier 2 pedal range. Pedal C, pedal B flat, pedal A flat, pedal G, and pedal G flat or F sharp. And you got to finger the low pedal G as 1 and 3, the pedal G flat F sharp as all of them down only for those last two. Okay, let's see. So your job right now, if you don't have a lot of experience with pedal tones, is to go ahead and go out to the woodshed and start working on these. And it's not going to be easy. Think about it. You're actually playing in a range that's very similar to this range up here. So I just play the notes in upper register on trumpet. High C, high D, high E, high F, and double G. Those are what most would agree on are considered upper register. If you go above the double G, then you get into at least what I call extreme upper register. So when you're practicing in the Tier 2 of pedal tones, amazingly enough, is just almost as if you're practicing and killing yourself right? Now if you were doing that with braces, you might be going, oh my Lord, you might start crying because it's going to be painful and it's really going to hurt. But with my technique and the trumpet exercise I just gave you for practicing Tier 2 pedal tones, it is a life-saving moment because you can really still continue to increase the embouchure, the strength, and even some of the compression. You won't be hurting your lips hardly at all in the Tier 2 range of pedal tones. Now, there are some other tips and tricks to enable the Tier 2 pedal tones to come out, and that's where people like myself or other people that might have an expertise in range and endurance can help you out. But at least right now, if you want to do it on your own, you at least got something that's going to help increase your range and endurance on the trumpet, even though you got braces. See you next one. I'm Kurt Thompson.
Hi, I'm Kurt Thompson and welcome to my channel. That's youtube.com/your brass instructor. Thanks for just watching the video that you did. Maybe it's the first one that you've watched, or maybe you've watched tons of my videos. In fact, as of June 2016, as a brass player and trumpet player, I have the most tutorials free on the planet. I have over 600 videos on my YouTube channel currently, all free. So again, thanks again for watching this video. I hope that you got something out of it. Sometimes I make a video just to make you laugh. A lot of times I make a video to educate you on something and maybe even help solve a problem. So I hope something like that occurred for you in this video. And while you're at it, again, subscribe, click on my website link, and go on to the next video. It's lovely out here. Have a great day.
Welcome, it's Kurt Thompson, and I got a new series that's going to be coming your way. It's just a 3-part series on breathing, and actually the real name of the series is probably going to be the 3 stages of compression. Compression. It's a fancy word, right? For some, for others it's not. So what are we doing when we compress in the air? Why do we need to do it? Why can't we just take a big breath in below? So if you want to be inefficient and shoot in the dark, put a blindfold on and throw darts at a target. Sometimes you could hit the target, and sometimes, probably more often than not, you're going to miss the target. So understanding the theory of the 3 stages of compression and then being able to apply that in real life to your actual playing will actually help you get the bullseye a lot more. So I'll be giving you some trumpet tips and trumpet exercises in this 3-part trumpet lesson. In fact, actually, it's for all brass players as well. So, I mean, this applies if you're playing tuba or French horn or baritone, euphonium, trombone. It applies to all brass instruments, really. It just so happens I happen to have the trumpet here, and that's what I spend most of my time on. But it's still the same thing for all brass instruments. So, coming your way very shortly, look for a 3-part series on compression, the 3 different stages. And that's what a lot of people don't get. There are 3 distinct stages in compressing your air, and the synchronization has to be efficient and all lined up to make it work perfectly for you. If something's a little bit off, it won't work perfectly for you. So anyway, stay tuned for that 3-part series coming over the next couple of weeks. I hope you enjoy it. I'm Kurt Thompson. Until then.
Hi, I'm Kurt Thompson, and welcome to my channel. That's youtube.com/your brass instructor. Thanks for just watching the video that you did. Maybe it's the first one that you've watched, or maybe you've watched tons of my videos. In fact, as of June 2016, as a brass player and trumpet player, I have the most tutorials free on the planet. I have over 600 videos on my YouTube channel currently, all free.